I'm Dr. Dave Janda. Welcome back to our combined series of Dave versus the MSM and on the Operation Freedom Briefing series. I'd like to thank you for joining me today. Thank you for networking this information. And again, you are always welcome at davejanda.com, where we have extra shows, content, guests, analysis, archives to all of our shows. And we have the only news ticker in the internet that the deep state hates. Absolutely hates, because they have zero control over the content. It's created by our IT team, and it's free. All you have to do is go there, and 24/7 it's going, and it's constantly changing. And then if there's a particular issue you want to learn more about on that ticker, just click it, and it'll take you to a reference site as it relates to that particular deep state despised headline that we have on the news ticker. Please become a member of our Freedom family. It's a single greatest bang for the buck, because there is content I discuss behind the paywall based on the contacts I've developed over the past 37 years. I cannot discuss on any social media platform or on the radio because of the deep state choke points. Our subscribers will tell you it's at 30 cents a day, $9 a month. Single greatest bang for the buck in all the internet. Our subscribers will tell you the content there not just puts them months and years and ahead of the curve, but it actually, they will tell you, on a number of different planes, has saved their lives. Our perspective, our background is unique. There's nobody else in the independent media that has the background that I bring to you. And in particular, our focus is on the subscription side. We have a charge, 30 cents a day. It's to cover our costs. It's that simple. Running an IT site that's safe and secure for everyone who visits costs a lot of money every month. And the 30 cents a day for subscribers covers that cost. It's that simple. Today I want to discuss something that the syndicate, the globalist syndicate, does not want you to know about. They want you completely unprepared for the financial reset that we're going through, with the end result being what financial economist or financial analyst, if you will, David Webb has talked about, the great taking. What's being taken? Your financial freedom. Oh yeah, you've been targeted. You might not realize it, but you have. They want every penny in your pocket. Every penny in every person's pockets that's not part of the, as George Carlin called it, the big club. You know, the 0.1% of the scum in the world that are responsible for the chaos, the death, the destruction across the board. And you name the entity, whether it's with wars or societal chaos or with their this and this, right? There are the same groups behind it all. And now they're coming for your financial well-being, your financial freedom, all of it. That's not hyperbole. That's not fear porn. It's fact. James West, the geopolitical historian, recently said the following: "We're at a critical juncture in modern history. The entire world financial system has been hijacked by a relatively small, what they call elite, far from elite, scum, group, whose interests run very much contrary to those of the global population. There is a competition for assets underway, and the ability to fabricate capital at will is the key tactic of the United States effort to hobble, the globalist effort really, it goes beyond the shores of the United States, to hobble and enslave every country and its citizens to the reserve currency of the globalists, that being the US dollar. It is important that people recognize what is happening. They're doing everything in their power to make sure that you're misinformed, disinformed, and completely uninformed. They do this through their media outlets. The Wall Street Journal, Barron's, Bloomberg, CNBS as I call it, Fox Business News, all owned and operated by the syndicate. Oh, Fox isn't, come on, Dave. Who owns Fox? Not just Fox News, but the business channel. The Murdochs. The Murdochs sit on the board of the Council on Foreign Relations, globalist think and implementation tank. Right. It is important that people recognize what's happening. The financial future of the world is being hijacked by the globalist bankster scum. The attack on gold, the gold and silver, physical, not paper, gold, physical, historically, for thousands of years, has been the store of value. The public attack on gold is just one visible element of the hijacking. You see, they're hoovering up, accumulating as much gold and silver as they can get because it is the ultimate store of value. Hence the title of today's presentation. It's actually based on a statement made by a really good financial analyst by the name of Vince Lanzi, Lanzi. Look him up. Really good, the content he does. Gold is money, and silver is more. Because it not just has a monetary use, it has an industrial use. That's why it's more. The globalist scum, they see all of us plebes, or as they call us, useless eaters, and they do call us useless eaters, because we're utilizing resources that were only meant for the 0.1% of them. Yeah, and they're benevolent in their psychopathic minds that they're allowing us to utilize these resources until they see fit that we should be right. Through their tentacles, the IMF, the Bank of International Settlements, the World Bank, they put out statements to give us a heads up. They see us, all of us, as being in the shower. And they're right next to that shower with the toilet. And when they flush that toilet and the shower changes, if you will, temperatures, in their warped minds, as they flush the toilet and essentially flush society down the drain, they believe that they're ethical in a sense that they give all of us that are smart enough and analytical enough to figure it out, they give us a warning, a heads up. From the World Bank. The World Bank just released a handbook for asset managers on how to invest in precious metals and in gold, physical gold. What? I didn't hear about this in the Wall Street Journal or Barron's or Bloomberg or CNBS or Fox Business News. Stuart Varney wasn't talking about. Larry Kudlow wasn't talking about this. Oh, no. Here's what they said, quote, in the modern era, gold, not cryptos, not paper debt, or paper stock certificates that are based on debt of that company. No. In the modern era, gold continues to play a critical role in the global financial system, serving as a hedge against inflation. It's a safe haven asset and a reserve asset for central banks. Who controls who runs the central banks? Oh, yeah, the bankster families. Oh, heads up. Gold remains a crucial component of the global financial system and is likely to continue to play an essential role in the future. Meanwhile, all of those financial arms are telling you, oh, that's a pet rock. That's a barbarous relic. Stick with those companies that are heavily in debt, that are selling at 200 times price to earnings ratio. Yeah, stick with that. IMF weighed in. International Monetary Fund. Another globalist. Here they go. Well, we're telling you, you're in the shower. We're about to flush the toilet. This great taking, but we're going to give you a little heads up. From the IMF, quote, gold bullion is not a claim. In other words, there's no counterparty risk. There's no debt, D-E-B-T, associated with it. As my dad used to say, if you hold it, when it comes to physical gold and physical silver, you own it. Wise man. Gold bullion is not a claim and does not have a corresponding liability, debt, associated with it. It is treated as a financial asset because of its special role as a means of financial exchange in international payments by monetary authorities and as a reserve asset held by monetary authorities. End quote. That's what they don't want you to know. Enter Vince Lanzi. financial analyst. Gold is money and silver is more, stated many times. Silver monetization will happen for the BRICS countries, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, and add about another 100 countries into BRICS now that are moving away from the dollar-based trading system, the dollar-based platform, the dollar. No. They're moving into a distinctly different trading platform, not based on dollars. A system that is based on physical assets, gold, silver, oil, natural gas, you name the commodity. They see the great taken coming and they're like, yeah, not so much. We're not going to be a part of that. No, not for our populations. No. We're not going to hang on to that old, that British U.S. system that's based on a house of cards of debt. Besides that, those countries tend to weaponize the dollar and, well, they don't like what you're doing. They just take your assets. Look at what they did with Russia. This isn't support of Putin. It's like he's looking at it going, and so are these other countries. They're saying if they're doing that to Putin, and Putin has a military and Putin has nukes, what are they doing to me? What are they doing to our country? We don't have nukes. We don't have a big standing army. Whoa. We better get out of Dodge because if they disagree with us, they're going to take our assets. Here's what Vince says. Gold is money, silver is more, stated many times. Silver monetization will happen for these BRICS countries. I'm hearing that the Saudis and other central banks and sovereign wealth funds are publicly accumulating silver. Silver is more, right? Do you really think India and China were buying all that silver to pave their roads with solar panels? No. What silver does, its industrial use, gives cover for them hoarding silver to be used for monetary purposes. We just saw India came out and said that they're now accepting gold and silver bullion in a 10-to-1 ratio, by the way, for collateral, which is something else Vince Lanzi brings up. That what the BRICS countries and China are up to with gold and silver are to moving it in particular to a high-quality liquid asset. Gold, before this happens with silver, but we're already seeing this with silver in India. India, part of BRICS, the I in BRICS. That with physical metals being used as collateral rather than U.S. Treasury debt and dollars. Folks, they're telling you. They're telling you. These BRICS countries are saying, we're not sticking with that. That's toxic because it's based on overwhelming debt, D-E-B-T. You pull out a dollar bill or based on a full faith and credit of the United States government. Faith and credit. We just hit the $38 trillion indebtedness mark, right? $38 trillion. We were at $37 trillion. We hit $37 trillion in August of 2025. We hit $38 trillion in October. August to September. 2 months! Frank Gustra, a precious metals analyst, stated, with all due respect, the public and a number of analysts are completely missing what is actually happening financially. This gold market has not been driven by investors who only recently started dipping their toes into buying gold and silver. It's global central bank demand that is driving force behind the price moving up and moving up significantly. Yes, I know there are some pullbacks, but overall, the line is going from the lower left to the upper right. We are heading toward, listen, a global monetary system reset with gold playing a central role and silver. Michelle McCory, a precious metals commentator, recently gold broke 4,100, silver crossed $52 an ounce. Some independent analysts have long cautioned about a potential imbalance between the paper fraud and physical silver. And that imbalance now seems to be surfacing as real pressure in the physical supply chain. Bullion banks run by the banksters have been running massive short positions, betting against the price of paper silver, selling claims on ounces of physical ounces that do not exist in the real world. The leverage in the COMEX system may have reached unsustainable levels. There are those that believe that there are 300 paper ounces for every ounce of physical silver that exists. I think the number they quote is 316. Okay, well, let's just say it's not 316. Let's say it's 100. No. Let's say it's 3. No, let's say it's 2 and not 316. Think of this as a game of financial musical chairs. The music's playing. Oh, everything's great. Yeah. And there are two people walking around one chair. When the music stops, what happens? One person gets the chair and one person's left out in the cold. Imagine if there are 100 walking around the chair and one person gets the chair and 99 don't. That's what's been created, the 99, with the people thinking they potentially have access to physical silver or physical gold. The ratio is supposedly over 100 to 1 with gold. Of paper to physical. That the paper's not backed by physical. Now imagine if it's 316. One person gets the chair and 315 got nothing. They think they got something, but they got nothing because they have paper. And what happens when that happens? Paper burns. The leverage in the COMEX system may have reached unsustainable levels. There are far more paper ounces than physical metal available for delivery. Delivery requests are now surging while inventories are collapsing of gold and silver. This is the critical point of failure. If contracts begin defaulting and we see a wave of failure to deliver, which is something Bill Holter has spoken about, Ed Steer has spoken about for years, confidence in the entire silver pricing structure and gold could implode. A move in silver toward $100 an ounce is no longer far-fetched. It's potentially the logical outcome of leverage, scarcity, and panic all colliding together. The paper metals system that doesn't have backing with physical has become increasingly fragile. And it's beyond cracks that are showing. Yeah. Meanwhile, while this supply chain was breaking down as it relates to physical metals, are you aware Putin recently said this? Russian President Vladimir Putin announced that Central Asian nations are all a component of the BRICS group now, are contemplating abandoning the US dollar in favor of their own national currencies. Putin says this marks a full-scale transition, with Russia emerging as one of the leading investors in the countries moving away from the dollar. On the day that was stated, China bought Russian oil, not with dollars, which they have been doing since the 1970s, but with Chinese currency, the yuan. This is the reset, folks. And the reset leads to the great taking. If all you have are paper assets. From David Jensen, a precious metals and financial analyst, the current run on the price of silver is being driven by a global shortage of silver bars, manifesting itself with London now desperate for market supply of these bars. In fact, the price run by silver is due to a building global silver shortage, which is getting more intense, presenting as an increasing problem for the billions of ounces of immediate ownership promissory notes for cash in the spot market sold to buyers in the London market. In other words, people are demanding, turning in their paper, asking for their physical asset, it's not there. The music is stopping. And some folks ahead of the game say, wait a minute, music's stopping. I want my physical, and there's only one chair there, and they're all running for that one chair. It is plain to see that silver is not there as demand increases due to visible currency debasement policy acceleration by the world central banks. And this is just getting started. This is David Johnson, smart guy. From another insider in the precious metals industry, we're seeing a lot of commentary about refineries not buying back silver because it's too expensive at $50. That's false. Capital's not the problem. It's a capacity problem. We don't have the refining capabilities. And because of that, it's affecting the supply. The infrastructure and metal to support an over-leveraged paper market that suddenly demands physical, well, it's crumbling. And in fact, real wealth, it turns out, is not paper. The common denominator with all these tentacles of the deep state and the financial world, with the propaganda that they put out, is paper's fine. Invest more paper. Buy more stock. Buy more bonds. Buy more debt. Every one of those companies that is in the stock market is not debt-free. Garrett Goggin, a financial analyst, silver is the chosen metal for the defense industry with superior electric conductibility. In fact, if you just look at the Tomahawk cruise missile, it contains about 30 ounces of silver. The Pentagon has launched a $1 billion buying spree to stockpile critical metals and materials and minerals, aimed at securing supply chains amid growing geopolitical tensions. They know that the physical is limited, and they're buying it hand over fist. So what they do is that as the price moves up, they can only contain it so much. So what they have to do is dump huge amounts of paper unbacked contracts to try to get the froth out of, try to get the public away from thinking, hey, maybe I should own some of that because, whoa, it's going down. And I'm going to just hold off. That's what they want. You're playing in their hands if you do that. If you truly are. Single greatest financial insurance policy you can have are physical precious metals. Fact. But they don't want you to know that. Because they want you vulnerable. So that as the buildings fall in their own footprints of the financial systems of the world collapsing because they're based on a house of cards, that being debt, they want as few as survivors as possible. So that they're the only ones. Because that way it's more easy for them to consolidate more power, control, and financial resources. They're psychopaths. Know your enemy. Yeah. The banksters are psychopaths. They only care about themselves. They don't care about you. They don't care about society. They don't care about any country. They don't care about anybody other than themselves. Unless you think that the central banks aren't not just valuing gold, but valuing silver, the president and CEO of a royalty company, Wheaton Precious Metals, recently said the following. A full disclosure, 30 years ago, my dad saw the value of this royalty company. He invested in it. So did his son. Because my dad's track record was impeccable when it came to looking out in the long term. And this is what the CEO of this top royalty company in the precious metals arena, Wheaton, recently said. Central banks on the inside are discussing adding silver to their balance sheet. We recently saw Russia saying we're going to add it to our critical reserves. The United States month and a half ago, put out a agenda item that they're considering adding silver to their critical list. The formality as of the recording of this video has not been finalized. But remember, one of the single greatest components of your laptop, of your phone, of your car, of your refrigerator, of your washer, your dryer, your whatever, anything associated with any kind of electronics involves silver. Mm-hmm. True. Not just Tomahawk missiles. It is a critical element that's in short supply. That there are 2 people, 10 people, 100 people, 316 people walking around that one chair, thinking that they're going to get that chair because, well, their paper says that they own silver, physical silver. When in fact, there's a distinct possibility that there's only one of the 2, one of the 10, one of the 100, one of the 316 that actually do have physical. Be the one and not the other people that are under the, some might say, delusion, some might say miscalculation, that they're holding paper, but they don't have jack. You see, the one that holds the physical will not only be the one that gets the chair, but the one that will get through this gauntlet of a financial reset and the great taking. That one person will be the one that comes out relatively less scathed than all the rest. It's that simple. You want to be that one. You don't want to be anyone else than that one. Best financial insurance policy on the planet. Fact. And that's what they don't want you to know. And that's what they don't want you to hear. Because if you know it, and you hear it, and you act upon it, then you become a much harder target for them to take down. I thank you for joining me today. We are available 24/7 at davejanda.com. Now let me close with this. David Bateman recently said the following. He's an IT and financial analyst. Here are the reasons I invested close to $1 billion in precious metals over the past 6 months, including the purchase of 1.5% of the annual global silver supply. He bought over 12 million ounces of silver. The annual mining supply of silver is about 850 million ounces. By the way, on the takedowns of October 10th and 17th and 24th and 27th, the paper trading was about, and if not over, 1 year's supply in one day on paper. Yet the physical that actually changed hands was a small fraction of that. He goes out, the global monetary system is about to collapse. You know, what they call the Great Reset. The Great Taking. The biggest credit bubble in history will soon pop. It's about $300 trillion in debt worldwide. There's no way the U.S. can refinance its $28 trillion in maturing treasuries in the next 4 years without an obscene amount of printing. Gold and silver are the only meaningful life raft. Physical possession is everything. The whole world right now is a sophisticated game of musical chairs. The chairs are precious metals. Real estate, cryptos, stocks, and bonds all have a debt component to them. Well, crypto doesn't. No, what are they saying? The reason why our stable coins that buy some crypto, such as Bitcoin, well, the reason why they're so stable is because, well, they're backed by U.S. Treasury debt. Yeah. Real estate, crypto, stocks, and bonds will all lose significantly compared to precious metals that don't have debt associated with them, physical precious metals. The banking system has been meticulously designed to seize your assets to buoy up a collapsing banking sector. But you have zero counterparty risks if you own physical precious metals. This is not a drill. Your grandkids someday will either muse or lament this financial decision you're now faced with. Don't fail them. This is not financial advice. This is for educational purposes only. Yeah, true. Frankly, it's more than educational survival. It's for survival purposes. Financial survival. That's what it comes down to. Fact. I'd like to thank you for joining me today. We are available 24/7 at davejanda.com. Stop on by. You will never be sorry. You will be educated, empowered, and enlightened, though, if you do. Until next time, Dave Janda signing off. Dream big and dare to fail. Thanks for your time today.